How to cast on yarn to start knitting. Hello, I'm Kristen and welcome back to my channel Studio Knit. To begin, you will want to first create that slip knot and place your needle inside the loop. Today's cast on method that we're using is called the long tail cast on. I suggest watching this part first and then we can do it together. So the yarn on the right, we're holding in our left hand with our two fingers, our index and our middle finger right there. The other strand of yarn, we're going to hold it with our other two fingers, our ring finger and our pinky. So this is how we are going to hold the tension of our yarn, and then we take our thumb around to the bottom, and this is the technique for holding your yarn in order to cast it on. And then with your right hand, you'll take your index finger and you'll place it right onto that first stitch to sort of help keep it in place as you're casting on. So let's do it together. Holding your knitting needle in your right hand, you're going to take your left hand and the yarn on the right side, hold it between your two fingers. Then take your other two fingers and hold the other yarn tail down next to your palm. You'll then scoop your thumb underneath that yarn and hold it upward. And lastly, with your right hand, take your index finger and just hold it on to the stitch, and that is going to help keep it in place while we're casting on. Okay, so once you have your yarn in your hands in this configuration, you are ready to continue on. And if this knitting series has been helpful to you, please like it up. It really helps me out. I encourage you to also watch this before you give it a try yourself. So the knitting needle is going to go to the outside of the left and go under. We're then going to take our knitting needle all the way over to the outside of the right strand of yarn and also go behind it and pick up that yarn. And that loop right there, we're going to bring it right in between our thumb loop. And that is our next stitch. Everything sort of falls free and we lightly pull those two strands of yarn, and that is casting on. Okay, let's rewind and we'll do it together. Your knitting needle is going to the outside of the left, picking up that yarn and going right through, and then it's going to travel over to the right side, to the outside of the right yarn. And it's going to pick up that yarn as well underneath, and then that bit of yarn is going to come through your thumb loop, and then with your left hand you can let all of that go and lightly cinch up your two strands of yarn, and there you have cast on your knitting stitch. And then we just keep on going. Again, you're going to, on your right hand, that finger sort of holds those stitches in place. And if you need to sort of get your left hand resituated right there, let's do this again. And let's do it together. So with our knitting needle, we're going to the outside of the left of our knitting yarn. And we're going to pick up that strand of yarn with our knitting needle, go behind it, and we're carrying that yarn all the way over to the yarn on the right, also going around to the outside, bringing our knitting needle behind it, and then we're carrying that yarn up through the loop that we have our thumb holding, and we're going to bring it up Our left hand lets everything go, and then we pull our yarn so that it's another nice little stitch. And here we have 3 stitches of knitting. Let's do our 4th stitch maybe a little bit faster. Okay, we take our knitting needle to the outside left, bring that yarn over to the right. We go to the outside of the right yarn, underneath it, and that yarn is carried through our thumb loop, and then we just cinch it up into the next stitch. Now let's go a little bit more in real time. We go around to the left, around to the right, through that thumb loop, tighten everything up, and there is stitch 5. Around to the left and around to the right, scoop it up, and there is stitch 6. And you'll just continue casting on for the desired number of stitches. Casting on really is one of the most challenging parts of learning how to knit. So if you find yourself getting frustrated or confused, just take a break, come back to it again, because once you conquer this, everything is easy going. Check out my entire Absolute Beginner Knitting series to get started knitting now, available on Teachable. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye!